What's up? Great. Great.
Hey, Trenton. Chris Cartman, Son of a Source. How does this feel, not just to have a good offensive performance, but after all you guys have kind of been through and guys continuing to battle and seeing that pay off?
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, just giving thanks to God, just keeping our brothers here healthy. We've had a lot of people, with the minor setbacks, but just sticking together. I think that's the one thing that we kind of came into this year. There's a lot of new guys. There's a lot of new coaches in the building. But just sticking together, it hasn't been easy. These last 3 weeks, really this whole season, we're right there. And finally, to play a game, all three phases. Yes, there were mistakes that we can improve on, but to see special teams, have that big field goal at the end of the first half. Offense able to, drive down, get us into field goal position, then, defense at the end of the game to stop them in the red zone inside the 5, I believe. It's just awesome to see everything work together, and, it's the start of something special.
And then what's this been like? Kenny's kind of evolved the offense in recent weeks, getting into some of these cut splits, and you're under center, and you're getting more numbers to run behind in some of these looks and the exit motion stuff. What's that been like over the last several weeks building to this?
It's been exciting, being a quarterback that, is pretty much like another coach on the field, to have so many offensive masterminds, with Coach Dilly and Coach Baldwin and Iguano and Coach Mon. Everybody on the offensive side, they put their 2 cents in, and to see them, all work together and, find different ways to get the ball in the playmaker's hands, it makes it easy for me. I'm not having to throw the ball 50 yards down the field, but I can throw a bubble to Badge, and he makes a guy miss, turns it up for 25. Jalen, having running backs that can catch out of the backfield is huge too. But, it all starts with the guys up front, and they did a great job of allowing us to have some explosives in the run game, and it makes everything easier.
Michelle Gardner, Arizona Republic. Trey, can you talk about the defensive stand there? They get down, and it's a 2-score game, and 4 minutes left, and just making that stop.
We had to come out and do our 111th. Obviously, we were up 2 scores, so we were trying not to let them score at all. That's the goal, and we executed. We executed on our plays. We had good communication, which was one of the big keys to. Which was one of the big keys to the stop. So, man, our D-line was eating tonight. I got to give it to them. Our D-line was eating tonight, and it helped us on the back end too. So.
Trey, Jonah Krell, Cronkite Sports. After the win, saw you sort of just take a moment for yourself, go on a knee, look up to the sky. What were the emotions like for you against your former team and to be able to get that win?
Oh, man, it's crazy because I prayed during the week and prayed throughout the week. And I had a lot of prayers going into this week, so I got to give glory to God. That's all I was doing. I was looking up to God, and I'm just saying, thank you, Father, for answering my prayers. Obviously, coming from that school, I had a lot of revenge that I wanted to get, but I learned that revenge is not mine to take but his. So I let that go to him. I gave him everything that there was to be mad or pissed about, and we came out with this victory today, man. So it meant a lot.
Trent Michael Carrasino, Pitchfork Lunch. To have that 1-2 punch, I know Coach Dillingham was trying to talk about all year running the ball, but to finally have DeCarlos back healthy and Cam, obviously gives the offense a boost, but just how much confidence does it give you guys, in play calling, just running the whole offense?
Yeah, I'm looking at the play sheet this morning, and I'm like, okay, this can be an explosive. This can be looking good. This can be good. And, coming back to the sideline and just telling Coach Dillingham, everything they're calling is working. Line is getting a good push up front. Receivers are making plays. Troy had that big 3rd down, that first drive. But, just like I said, trusting the game plan. And we have so many weapons, and we still have so much more to put out there. But this is just one step forward. And, we don't want to get too high on it right now. But, watch film and get ready for next week.
BJ, right here. That was a weird sequence where Prince knocked the ball down, their quarterback picked it up and ran after the play should have been dead, and the refs called a penalty on that. And then you and Prince each made plays subsequently to get a stop after that. Can you just talk about that sequence that happened?
I think that we were just really just unwavering in what we were trying to do, what our assignment was. I'll give credit to Trey just keeping us focused on what we need to get done. Regardless of what happens, they might get a big play, but we got to get back and play down and play again. That's one thing that just kept us focused throughout the game is just what, we still got to get back there. The more we affect the quarterback, the better things that happen. So, all credit to, everybody behind us because, they get us lined up. All we got to do is go. So that's all we did, go.
And can you just talk about the impact that you guys had getting after Caleb? I mean, getting after the quarterback Cam.
It had a huge impact. Like you don't give him time to sit back there. Find what he wants to find. We put pressure on him. Good things will always happen. Regardless of where he goes. He tries to run out of there. We know our linebackers will come pick it up and make that play. D-line, we cover for each other. Y'all saw that first sack. When I went high, he tried to escape to the B gap. We had Clayton right there. We always cover each other. That's that defense. We always keep the cub. We always do our job. So that showed up tonight. We all did everything. It all came together.
This could go for Trey or BJ. Just what was the message in the locker room that kind of, changed that mentality going into the second half to really shut down Cam?
It was really the finish. we always put together a first half, and this game was one of the biggest games where we wanted to put together a whole game. So we went in, told them guys we need to finish and make sure we're just doing our 111th. One play mentality, making sure that we're executing on every single play, and then after that, man, the score shows. So just executing every play and finish.
The standard's the standard, honestly. Like, nothing changes, Every week, every game, every half that we play, the standard is always to finish and do our job. Everybody does their job, and every good things will always happen when everybody is simultaneously doing their job. Coach Ward always tells us do our 111s, what I'll say to that is this, he just told us like what the standard was, and we have to meet that every week. He challenges us to do that every week. So.
Trenton, it feels like you guys are running the ball better than you have all year today. What was kind of the key to that success for the first time?
Yeah, I think the coaches did a great job of coming up with a game plan, and the players did a good job of executing it. We kind of knew coming in what was going to happen, and to see gashes of 8 to 10 to 15 yards, and Scat breaks that one. I think it was like 70 yards or something. But to see those plays finally pop up, that's kind of what this offense has needed the last couple of weeks. Is it's kind of been a grind, getting these drives where it's 10 yards, 8 yards, 6 yards. You see all these other scores where people can break an outside zone for 80, but for us to finally get some of those explosives, it opens up everything in the game plan, and it allows us to put up some big points, and the defense did a great job too.
And then Trey, you guys had a weird play in the first half where a bunch of defensive players came out and lined up on offense. Clayton Smith threw the pass interference. What was that going on out there, and what did Kenny tell you about that play?
All I can say is that play was meant to, what would you say, send a message?
Yeah,
We did.
Yeah.
they earned it. They earned it last week. They kind of came up with a little goal, and I think since they had so many turnovers, we drew up a defensive play, and they did a good job stopping it. But if it was what we wanted to, is we want to get Trey in the end zone, but you'll never know. So defenses in the future, we've got to do a good job of watching film. But that's the type of offense that Coach Dillingham does. He likes to have a lot of tricks and razzle dazzles, and you just got to prepare for it.
Mm-hmm.
Trent, have you had any conversations with Brian Ward specifically about that Washington State defense in this coming week?
Not really. I know, it's been nice to be able to go against our defense, which is, pretty much their kind of style. But to go against our defense, they're a little bit more exotic. But to be able to go against these guys, it makes our offense, better each and every week. But I knew that, this game was, personal for a couple guys coming from that school. But for us, it's just another game. We don't want to make it too big. But I'm just super excited the team and the coaching staff to, finally earn it. And it's a great feeling.
Trent, a lot of the messaging this week was the offense was one play away. Little details mattered. The bus last week. So do you think you really capitalized and made sure to be successful on those small details? How do you think you were on that department?
Yeah, I think that was one of the big things that we kind of emphasized on this week, not just, on the field, but off the field as well. Defense has done a great job in the past of, making sure they're executing those small details. And offensively, we're a player here or there that, that flips this whole season around. So for us, it was just, making sure we fix our mistakes. And like I said, it definitely showed up tonight. There was definitely a couple, mistakes we missed here or there, but definitely improved, and just can't wait for the rest of the year.
Hey, Trent, Jake Seymour, Sun Devil Source. Kenny kind of challenged the offensive leadership this week, talked about the buses on Monday. Do you feel like there was a change in that, and how do you feel like if there was a change, maybe that helped the offense put together their best performance this season? Yeah,
I think, like I said, the small details, making sure after each touchdown, not just, dapping up the offense, but going down to the defensive guys, making sure, this is where, they're bending. Let's finish them off here. And same thing, defense is cheering on the offense. And, obviously, I think we're all loudest when the special teams are out there, because we just know it takes a full team to win, and to have all three phases, finally come together and play played one game, a full game, it shows, what we can do, and it's pretty exciting.
Was there anyone or anything that kind of stood out to you during the week with the offensive leadership?
Yeah, I think offensively we just knew that, last week it stung, for the defense to play such a great game, and we weren't able to execute on our side. But, I think we did a great job all week, whether it was cleaning the locker room, picking up trash in the film room, making sure people are on time to all the meetings. And, it all starts with the little things, and that's really what makes great teams great.
Doug Franz Unplugged. Any of the three of you, I don't know if this is like dunking on somebody in basketball, but what are your emotions when you're watching Scadaboo and Badger drag 5, 6, 7 guys along for an extra 7 or 8 yards?
I'll say for defense to watch that or to practice against at least EK Badger, with him juking, it's nice that we go against it in practice so we can practice against it. With guys like Scat, it's also good to go against because you're getting the physical aspect of the offense and getting to see that in practice. So it's great to see them out there, and then they're just doing their thing, man. And Coach Dillingham sets up plays to get those guys the balls in their hand, and they make magic happen, as you can see. So it's good as a defense that we're seeing them. And not only that, they're just out there making plays, but they're out there having fun. So it's good to see that, too.
It's expected. Who, me? Yeah. Yeah.
Go Devils. Go Devils.
They'll score.
How about Merrill Kelly and the Diamondbacks? Sun Devil alum right there.
Chris Cartman, Sun Devil Source. Kenny, this has been an evolving offensive approach that you've talked about earlier in the week and getting into some stuff that maybe isn't what you prefer to do. But what's that been like for you over the recent weeks and to see it kind of pay off the way it did tonight?
Yeah, I think it's fun. I think the guys have really embraced the challenge, and I think, it's the effort that they gave tonight. It's the detail. I can't come in here and tell you right now that there was over 4 busts. There probably were, but I couldn't say them just based off the tape. And that hasn't been the case in games past. So the guys really took some ownership in just doing their 1/11th, and it's showing up. And, yeah, this is definitely way different than anything I've ever done offensively. But, it doesn't matter. And it all comes down to the kids and the guys on our team executing. And I couldn't be happier for how they executed tonight.
Do you remember like a certain point in time during the season when it maybe dawned on you that you needed to move into some different directions, and what was that like subsequently?
Yeah, when you got to run the football. I still think you have to run the football to win in college football. Throwing the ball is fun, right? And it's exciting and it's good. But at the end of the day, you have to be a physical football team. And teams that win championships play physical football, and they can run the ball. And so we were just trying to be creative to find an identity to how to run the ball. And if that meant get under center and run speed sweeps from cut splits and run toss sweeps, it's, a lot of teams do that and have a lot of success. So, it's not about what I'm comfortable with. It's about what puts our players in the best position to be successful.
Can you pinpoint like when exactly that sort of?
I would say after the USC game.
I have a 2-part question, Kenny. First, how relieved are you to see, it finally come together in the win column? And second, you guys had a really good second half offensively, put points on the board, and that's been a problem in earlier games. What made the difference?
You're not going to like my first answer. I'm not relieved at all. Like, I'm happy. It's going to be a great night, like fun night, great. But it's still about the process. Like, we're 4 plays away from probably losing the game too. But the feeling's a little bit different at night, and that's where people get wrapped up in. They get wrapped up in the feeling of winning, which is fun. But at the end of the day, I'm worried about the process. So I'm going to go back to work and find out what we can be better at, where we can grow from. In terms of the second half offensively, it just goes back to we didn't change anything. It goes back to the guys being detail-oriented all week. And like I said, on Monday, I challenged them pretty heavily. They were calling me Angry Dilly on Monday. And just because, I let them know that that's not going to get it done. And for them to respond like that and play their best game, play clean, go 8 for 11 on third downs, go 5 for 5 in the red zone scoring. You talk about a completely different offensive performance, and it just goes back to just doing your 1/11th and giving extreme effort. And I think those guys did that, and they deserve all the credit.
Hey, Coach, just the rushing attack tonight was really good. Just what allowed them to have so much success?
O-line moved people, timing of motions, selling of the speed sweep action by the speed sweep runner and not being lazy and showing hands and bursting off the mesh, the track of the back, the H-backs kick out blocks, the effort after the ball was handed off. 11 people just doing their job. That was point blank. It's not a magical scheme. The guys just went out there and they played hard and they executed.
And then the kicking game the past couple of weeks has been
Bad.
Great, yeah.
You can say bad.
But just how much confidence did it give the group with that 51-yarder going into the half?
Oh, I mean, it could be the difference in the game. You're talking about a 2-possession game there versus a 1-possession game because we won the middle 8. You know, when you have a 10-point swing in the middle 8, you get the ball back with 40 seconds and go get 3 points and execute that. And, you know, I was more intense on the field goal unit than I think I was on offense or defense, watching everybody. You know, when you have a multitude of guys going in there, getting run over, and defensive guys just getting run over, that's a thankless job. I was just so happy with huge play in the game. And for us to execute a scenario like that, we haven't gotten to execute many scenarios at the end of a game. For us to win a 4-minute drill at the end of a game and take a knee, for us to win at the end of the second half and get the extra 3 points, that's winning football.
Coach Michael Carasino, Pitchfork Lunch. You said obviously running the ball is huge, but with DeCarlos getting back healthy and you said the challenging calling plays coming up to this, but just having him and Cam in the backfield playing off each other, what makes them so special? And when you're calling plays, how much easier does it make it?
Yeah, I think they just keep each other fresh. They're both similar runners, a little bit different, but similar. So I think they just keep each other fresh, and you got to keep guys fresh. And like I said, credit to the O-line, credit to everybody. We're starting to play with the level of effort on a consistent basis, pushing the pile. Like stuff like that wins. When you see teams like that, I still remember Kalen Ballage versus UCLA in a 4-minute drill on the road. And that was a winning team because we pushed the pile 15 yards. And that was what our identity is starting to show on offense tonight.
And with the motion, too, to piggyback off that, when Elijah's getting those big plays, too, could you see the defense's eyes just getting, like you guys say, a lot more dirty and maybe keying on the running back or keying on Elijah if they were getting the ball?
Yeah, obviously trying to get Elijah the ball is obviously the key. Like I said, it's not the scheme. The scheme didn't win the game. The players won the game. The execution won the game. The effort won the game. Everything goes to those guys. And I couldn't be prouder of those guys. Couldn't be prouder of Elijah. All those guys just executed at a high level, gave elite effort, and are unselfish.
Coach, you continually mentioned how explosive plays, especially in the run game, have been lacking all year. How was it to see that Cam Scatabo almost 70-yard run, and how was it to be like 9-10 yards of carry each time?
Yeah, that was obviously the explosive run. You know, I never look at yards per carry as a reflection of how you ran the ball. We had one big run, and then we consistently chopped wood down the field. And that one big run was huge in the football game. Credit to Messiah Swinson, the guy that I really challenged. And, they bring double gut cross in super wide. You have Gio Sanders blocking a defensive end, and then you have Messiah coming around, cleaning it up. Both those guys are 5th, 6th-year seniors on a 1-6 team. That tells you everything you need to know.
Hey, Kenny, Jake Seymour, Thunderbolt Source. You've kind of talked about the lack of offensive leadership kind of throughout the season, and this week you specifically challenged it. Did you see any improvements in that this week, and was there anything that maybe stood out?
I think it was just a group effort. I think the group just decided to make a change, and I think that's really what it was. I don't know if it was one person in particular. I know Joey's been doing a phenomenal job leading the O-line group, Joey and Leaf, but I really just think it's a group of people that are sick and tired of not getting it done and being competitive. And, they got it done tonight, and they deserve it. And hopefully they learn from this. They learn from if you just do things right and do your 111th and give extreme effort, a lot of good things are going to happen.
Doug Franz Unplugged, WTSMTV.com. Congratulations on your first conference win. Tell me can you explain the end of the first half? Because I could not hear the ref in the press box. First it was Conyers' reception fumble recovery. Then it was injury timeout. Then it was replay. Then it was Conyers' no recovery, no fumble. He's down. But then they wound the clock on the whistle and not on the snap. And if it's an injury timeout, why is the clock going on the whistle and not the snap, or what happened?
So I'm not going to get too much detail on the rule because it's a good rule. But basically, if there's an injury under a minute and the clock is running, right, then you don't have to get burned a timeout. So Conyers got hurt. So what happens is it was a first down. So because Conyers got hurt, the clock stops instead of continuing to wind because there was a first down. We do not get charged a timeout because it's a first down. And then our field goal unit went out there, and once the play clears, they'll then start the clock again. So we had to be ready for a whistle kick there, knowing the clock was going to wind. There was all the other stuff you talked about. Was it a fumble? Was it a not? Which is why we had our offense over there ready. If they ruled it an incompletion, we would have been prepared to throw Hail Mary. And if it's not an incompletion, we got to be ready for a whistle kick, field goal in that scenario. And to see our guys go operate, that was pretty exciting.
Hey, Coach. Jonah Krell, Cronkite Sports. How was the defense in the second half able to limit Cam Ward and prevent them from scoring a touchdown? What changes did you see?
Situational football. I mean, we won the situations. We won third down in the second half, and then we won the low red zone battle. You know, when you get them in the low red zone and give up two drives, give up 3 points, that's a win. I mean, that's what happened to us the week prior, right? Is you can't get in the low red zone or get in the red zone in general and not score offensively. And our defense, 2 possessions in the fourth quarter, held them to 3 points when they got inside the 15-ish yard line. That's winning the moments that matter, and that's winning football.
Hey, Coach. Sean Brennan, WCSN. You talked a little bit about the run game, but DeCarlos Brooks last week led the team in rushing and then had 3 scores on the ground today. From your perspective, what does he kind of bring to this running game as a whole?
Yeah, he's physical, he's passionate, he runs hard, runs through people. I mean, that's a guy who's battled a pretty severe injury and wanted to come back. He loves the game, and I think people feed off of that, so really good to have him back.
Hey, Coach. Mike Meekoff with the State Press. You know, you guys have been right there in pretty much every game. Every one of your conference games, I think, has been a one-score game in the fourth quarter. I've even heard people say, you know, you guys find new ways to lose every week. But, you know, how does it feel this week to finally find a way to win and get that, you know, off your back?
Yeah, it feels great. Feels great. It's good for our guys to see if we play complementary football, we can win football games. So we're getting better every week. I can say that with confidence. We're getting better every week. It may not show it all the time. There may be some bumps, but we're still getting better. And today we just kind of put together a somewhat complete game. And, you know, defense didn't play as good as they have in the past, but it doesn't matter because they won the moments. And football, like I keep saying, it's about those big moments that win or lose games. There's those moments in the game, and today we made those moments, and we won those downs.
Kenny, Blake Neiman, Cronkite Sports. Just knowing this winning is part of the process, but just to have guys, Arizona natives like Trenton Bourguet and DeCarlos Brooks have performances like tonight on homecoming, just what does that mean to them and just this group to, you know, have those Arizona guys have a performance here at home on homecoming?
Yeah, it's great. Arizona guys, stay home. I mean, it's pretty cool to do it in front of your own crowd. So I can think of one guy in particular that I've been hounding to stay home. And this is a moment that I think it's pretty cool for our guys to do this in front of their friends and family, and to do it in front of your friends and family is something special.
Yeah, Kenji Ito in Furno Intel. So, you know, your defense has showed out time and out week after week, and, you know, you're holding some of these offenses to under their average of yards. You know, it seems like your defense is like they're basically just the enforcer to some of these Pac-12 offenses you have faced. So what is the defensive philosophy / scheme that you could tell us without giving it away that makes your defense so good?
Attacking. The entire program is about attacking. It's a full approach, right? You can't say you're going to attack on defense and not on offense and not on special teams and not be aggressive and go for it. If you're going to be in a mindset that we're going to play to win games and we're not going to play scared, then you have to attack in every phase. And I think that's just how we coach. It's how we play. We play free and we play attacking. And I really don't know of a better place to play defensive line in the entire country than in this scheme. I don't. I think if you're a defensive lineman in the country and you watch our defensive linemen, you watch all the transfers that are brought in and the production they've had within Coach Ward's scheme, I think it should brighten everybody's eyes to say that could be me. And I think that's really what we should be highlighting is how aggressive our defensive line is, how free they play, and the production of these kids that had no production at their prior school. And now they're coming out here and they're top 10 in the country in sacks, right? One of the top PFF guys in the country at defensive tackle. That's something people should want to play in moving forward.
Coach, last week you said one of the problems was the offense's bus wasn't clean and the defense's was. Could you tell us some little things that were positives that you saw from the offense this week?
Well, I'll say this. We had 3 total dudes on a list, or 4 total guys on a list in the entire week. That's academics. That's late to a class. Four people, which isn't perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. Pre-game meal, everybody was there 9 minutes early, whereas in weeks past, we had a streak where we didn't have all of our guys at pre-game meal on time. Now we have 9 guys early, so it's all part of the process that goes into being successful. Thank you, Coach. Thank you. Go D-backs.